Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're hitting the road to Washington, D.C. We're going to check out some tried and true local spots, hit up a few new spots, and hopefully score some liquid gold. Let's get hunting. The first stop on our journey is Schneider's of Capitol Hill. There's floor-to-ceiling bourbons. A lot of bourbons, really overwhelming. The best bourbons are behind the bar, this register here area. They have a great selection. One guy even brought out the bottle from 1981 of a Jack Daniels. Their over selection that we saw, they had the Bookers, they had Old Carter, George C. Stagg, they had Rare Character, Willits, Weller, a lot of the old Each Taylor.
Schneider's, great store, great selection.
Yeah, good selection. Anything you could possibly imagine they had in there. It was crazy. Ridgemont Reserve from 1792.
They have all the B-Tech collection, E.H. Taylor.
Coy Hill, 10-year, 12-year. Said they just sold a 14-year.
We saw like Jack Daniels from what,
1981.
1981. If that was a 2, I definitely would have bought that.
If it was a 3,
that was pretty awesome. The guy was willing to work on some prices too, so I think definitely if you have cash, you can definitely get a good deal there too.
He said he'd work with me on the 1792, but it was still going to be an absurd price.
Yeah, that was a store pick, Ridgemont Reserve.
Yeah, that was.
I think the original price was $1,500 for that.
Yes.
Some awesome old school stuff I like there.
Yeah, but the difference of a DC bourbon hunt.
Yep.
Anything you can think of, you can find. They had Antique 107. They had Rio. They had all the Weller lineup. Everything you could want is here. You just got to pay up for it.
One thing really nice about Schneider's versus a lot of stuff in DC, they have their own parking. As Tom's dealing with traffic right now.
Hey guys, we're headed to Uncorked Wine and Spirits in Noma in Washington, D.C. I went online, I saw their website, I saw a Tin Cup Adventure series I really wanted to buy. When I got there, I was seriously disappointed. I did not see it. We'll talk a little bit more later. They had a pretty much general selection. They did have this FC store pick, which was interesting. They also had an Angel's Envy store pick as well. It is barrel 69. Thought about buying it, because come on, 69 dudes. They had some Jack Daniels, this Travelers, let's be honest, who really cares? And this Knob Creek 9, send down below, nothing really amazing. This Garrison Honeydew Brothers really piqued my interest, but at $80 for 80 proof, did not like that at all. Tom really liked this Horse Soldier, he went for a pass for it. This Madame Whiskey and Brother Whiskey, that was a nice little correlation, just shout out to DC for that one. And this bottle, never seen it before, didn't know much about it, went for a pass on it, and then saw the Eagle Rare Bourbon County at the end.
That was a weird store.
Uncorked Wine and Spirits.
Yeah,
Kind of strange.
we were trying to find a few bottles we saw online, but they said basically it's like a mail to order, so they get it from the manufacturer, and then they get it there. So you might as well find it somewhere right online that way.
Or buy it from Tin Cup Direct.
Yep. Okay. See ya.
We're headed to J&J Liquors. Usually sometimes a nice honey hole for us, but this time not so much. They had a few things really nice. They had a Jack 10, Jack 12, Penelope Takazi finish, and a few other things. We did a pass of everything. About 10 minutes away is Whelan's Liquors. We've been to Whelan's Liquors before, and it's been great. They usually have a great selection. Starting off, there's Angel's Envy, Generic Mictors, Horse Soldier, Barrel, Pursuit, Bardstown, Redwood Empire, Decadent, Tumbling Dice this 8-year, thought about buying it, went for a pass. They had some other bottles, High West, nothing really new, Green River, John J. Bowman Single Barrel, great deal on that today. I saw the single malts, I've seen a lot of other single malts, I'm not sure that fad's dying off. We'll see what happens this year. Like Garrison Brothers, I just saw that Uncorked, a little bit cheaper here, so it's nice to know it's cheaper here. And then other stuff I saw, I really saw this Woodford. I believe this is an older model of it. 124.7 proof for $160. That was a hard thing to say no for, but we had other bourbon hunting to do. Our camera, this style was a bit more incognito with the phones versus our fancy camera. This Russell Reserve and that Wild Turkey in the corner there, really thought about getting on those, but this IW Harper really caught my eye, being a 15-year. I think that's for $75 or maybe $80 it said. Four Roses, that red OBSF is great. They have this also Four Roses barrel pick for DC, but for $100 was a bit too much for me. Let me know if you've had that. Maker's Mark, this cask strength, I've been looking at this lately. I keep on passing on it. Eventually, I'll be buying it soon. They had an overall great selection. You can't really go wrong with Wheelings here. They overall have everything probably that you want and then some more at the same time. On the end cap is more their specialty, Old Forester single barrel, Weller Special Reserve, Blanton's Eagle Rare, Bourbon King, and even next to that they have the Bookers on the end and a few other specialty store picks, including one from Nova Whiskey Club and other special bottles behind the bar. Right across the street is Michigan Liquors. I have never been here until now. This is a honey hole and you should come here too. A lot of great stuff happening here. A lot of great sale prices too. This Sagamore rye really piqued my interest. Rye aged in a sour cask ale for 30 bucks. Really great sales price. They have a private barrel here on sale for $60. Wish I could taste it. Couldn't really do it. But they also had a burning char here. This burning char normally $80 on sale for $26. I've had other burning char store picks and I really like them. For $26, it's definitely worth to try it out. Other bottles to mention, they had some new riff. The Thomas S. Moore, I see that quite often. All of these are on sale, great sale prices. And this bottle, I wasn't sure about. I've tasted before the Buzzard Cigar Rye. I've heard that they're going to stop making it. And I think it's definitely a buy. Just not right now for me. Other bottles, great selection. Good selection of the Conducting Creek. The IW Harper was $5 cheaper at Wheelings than it is here. Barrel, nothing really new from Barrel. I know there's coming out some new bottles soon, but they didn't have anything there. They have a great, humongous Bardstown collection and the 3 Four Roses picks, the OBSF, the OESK, and you know, the other one I can't remember right now. High West, Redwood Empire cask strength. I love that Redwood Empire pipe dream cask strength. That's my favorite. That Magnum's down there in the bottom. Definitely should get that. They have a pretty good extensive quote unquote museum there for you to check out. Their prices are definitely secondary prices, but not absurdly marked up. So there's one bottle there that we checked out was the Bardstown Prisoner, which I haven't seen before. I got the Only Drams app. I scanned it through the glass. It was priced as it should be through Only Drams, so I was happy to at least to see that. Still didn't really pick it out. Only left here with one bottle. So, and that was the Sagamore Spirit Sour Ale Cask Finish.
All right, guys, next up on the list was Northwest Liquors. Went into here, found a couple good bottles on the shelf. They had some Havana and things like that, but what really stood out was the private stock. They had 2 offerings, a rye and a bourbon. Both were hazmat. I believe the rye was 146 proof. They had a couple more different things up on the shelf, but these were the 2 that really stood out as unique offerings. We got to sample both and ended up really liking the rye over the bourbon for this. And it was delicious, so I ended up picking up a bottle. I believe it was about an 80 bucks. On the shelf, they had a whole bunch of different things. The standard offerings that you've come to expect. They had the Woodfords, Penelope, some Redwood Empire. The Penelope Havana was a buy there also. They also had the back room offerings, which they use that back room for like tasting events and things like that, which had some unique stuff up on the shelf. So next time if they do a tasting event, you might want to check it out also. And that was Northwest Liquors. Interesting place. Next up on the list, we're heading over to Wegmans, grocery store that is almost impossible to find parking at. They had some decent stuff on the shelves. Nothing too crazy, nothing too outrageous, but fair prices, reasonable, offerings. What you come to expect when you go to a grocery store to find, bourbons and whiskeys and things like that. They had some decent stuff in their glass cabinet, but it was nothing too crazy that I had to jump up and buy right then and there. But pretty extensive selection of your standard shelf staple bourbons, I would say. Different other whiskeys. They had everything else you could think of. Here's the glass cabinet. They had your standard pricing on most of these bottles. There was nothing that stood out to me that I had to pick up that day, though.
We never saw this before. This is the first time we saw this. This Crypt Keeper.
Never heard of the Crypt Keeper. That was a different one. And that is all the offerings from Wegmans. Next up on the list was DMV Spirits. This is more of a speakeasy turned liquor store. It's located inside a office building, I guess is the best way to put it. They had everything you could think of on the shelves, reasonable prices. The guys there were pretty awesome. Went through, took a peek at everything. The cool thing about this place is anything that's on the shelf is available for tasting. So before you purchase, you can buy a bottle. You can go in, get a free tasting, see if it's what you want. And if you're willing to pay up for it, for the pricing that it's going for.
DMV Spirits is really interesting, right?
Yeah, interesting, man. That's the best way to put it.
It's like a speakeasy of liquor stores.
Office space turned liquor store.
Yep. Took a while to get the door, but once we got in there, the samples were great.
Yeah, the guy who owns it, amazing dude. Free samples, anything they have on the shelves. If it's not open, he'll open it right there on the spot.
I get myself an Obtainium. Check out that proof point. 81.2%. Hazmat.
Hazmat.
Okay guys, we are back finally through that DC traffic. Do a recap of the bottles that we got. First time, what'd you get?
I got the private stock. It's a hazmat rye, straight rye. We got that from Northwest Liquors. Pretty good buy.
Then I also got the Sagamore Sariel cast finish
I'm
from
excited about that, Steve.
Michigan Liquors. And then
Last
you
but
saw
not least,
already my Obtainium Canadian whiskey, that Hazmat 161. That'll be great.
heavy hazmat.
Yep, so we'll call this a Hazmat Hunt success.
Amen.